Hundreds of people today attending a carnival in Fox Crossing to raise money for families with special needs impacted by the recent Fox Valley tornado on July 27th. New at 6, Ashley Robinson spoke with organizers hoping to make a difference.
Laughter, carnival games, and the smell of dessert trucks. It looks like a typical summer afternoon of community fun in Fox Crossing, but underneath the fun is a deeper purpose.
We know how profoundly the families were affected by the tornado. No families more so than the ones who love someone with special needs. And that's what we do, is support our families with special needs, all needs.
This open house benefit was co-hosted by Innovative Growth, the Sensory Club of Neenah, and the Autism Society of the Fox Valley. Organizers say getting an event of this scale together in just 2 weeks required a massive community effort.
We started getting sponsor money day one so that we could get things underway. Then we got basket raffles, we got organizations and companies volunteering to bring games and set up games, play the games. It's been fabulous.
And that support is urgently needed. The recent tornado shattered critical routines for those with special needs. Rebuilding is even harder for those who lost hard-to-replace sensory and adaptive items. Every dollar raised from today's event, from the 50-50 raffle, gift baskets, Kona ice sales, and more, goes directly to replacing what was lost, leaving organizers overwhelmed by the outpouring of support.
Brings me to tears, knowing the good that we're going to do for all of these families. It's very, very heartwarming. We're here for the families.
That impact was top of mind throughout the day's festivities, including volunteers who want families to know they are not in this alone.
There's people with their children that already have so much on their plate, and it's super important to help them because it's very hard at this time. I mean, could you imagine even without a child on the special needs spectrum losing what they had and have to deal with that? So it's really important, very important.
For special needs families who were impacted by the tornado and would like to request fundraiser support, you can do so at wbay.com/links. In Fox Crossing, Ashley Robinson, Action 2 News.